What's up, everyone? I'm thrilled to welcome you all to the first ever Never Peak podcast episode. I'm your host, Gabe Malinsky, and this marks the first solo episode. We do have our first guest confirmed. Stay tuned on that. Today, I want to keep this first episode quick and actionable. My goal with this podcast is for it to be a lot like my second favorite book, Atomic Habits. I've always loved that book and tend to revisit it every couple of years simply because of how actionable it is. For example, James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, he shares that the best way to form a new habit is to make the habit three things. Make it easy, make it obvious, and make it attractive. And to break a habit, you do the opposite. After reading that book, sometime around 2020, I believe is when I was reading that. Might have been after that, I forget. But at that point, I was in the habit of drinking beer anytime I watched football. To break that habit, I did the opposite of those three things. So again, to form a habit, you make it easy, make it obvious, and make it attractive. To break this habit of drinking beer anytime I watch football, I needed to make it difficult. I also needed to make it not obvious, and I needed to make it less attractive. So to do that, I brought the case of beer from the fridge every Sunday morning to the closet. And what that did is when I was waking up in the morning on Sunday or getting ready to watch the game out on the couch, it was not easy because I would need to walk all the way down the hall into my bedroom closet to grab a beer that was also warm. That's not very attractive. I like cold beer, I still do, but warm beer, not attractive. Beer in a closet, not easy to get to necessarily. And also not obvious because when I go to the fridge, I'm not going to see that beer. It's not going to be obvious to me to grab one of those. And to replace it as well, anybody who's been through AA will tell you got to replace that habit with something else. So for me, I put a Gatorade or a Liquid IV or a Body Armor, whatever I was drinking back then to recover from probably what I had at that point, maybe a hangover on a Sunday morning. That was my replacement, was something that was healthier for me. Can think of a lot of examples of how I've used those three things, those three ways to form a habit or break a habit over the years. And given today is January 1st and new habits are probably top of mind for a lot of you, hopefully that's a nice little tip you can use to try to stay on track with your New Year's resolutions. That's actually off topic. I wanted to talk today about this Chinese concept I learned of recently called feng shui. The more I talk to friends and family about it, the more I feel like I'm the only one who was unaware of the concept. But the gist of it is this: your space affects how you think and feel. It's kind of a weird one, but we use this when setting up our house, and it seems like it really does work. A few concepts you can take from this, or a few actionable insights. First one, clear your entry points. Think front door, bedroom, desk, or office. Clear the clutter there. If the first thing you see is a bunch of junk, your brain is going to start to stress. So clear your space. You're going to clear your mind. If your areas are not cluttered, your mind will not be cluttered either, and it's not going to slow you down. Second, don't keep broken or unused stuff. I'm terrible at this one. But if it's broken, fix it or get rid of it. I just tend to not have time to fix things. So if I ever go longer than a month or two now without fixing something and it's not important to me, I'm just going to get rid of it. That's a rule that I'm really trying to put in place in my life. And so far, it's done some good things, cleared some clutter from my house. The last concept I'll talk about here today from feng shui, something called power position. I think I heard this actually from my dad when I was young. And funny to hear it come up in a Chinese concept. But the idea there, and what I have done in my life since hearing my dad talk about it, whenever we go into a restaurant or we're sitting somewhere in public, I always try to face the exit. I think a lot of guys do this. but it just kind of gives me peace of mind. I know who's walking in, I know who's walking out. I know where to go if something happens within the building that I'm in. And taking this into account with your home, look at where you spend the most time. For me, that's at my desk, it's in my bed, it's at certain chairs in the house or couch. Face those towards the doorway if you can. And I'll tell you, just comparing that experience in my old house, having my desk face out a window, to my new desk facing the doorway in my office, I feel so much more comfortable working long hours in this position, power position. Give it a try. Look up feng shui. It's a pretty cool concept, actually. And again, I feel like I'm the only one who did not know about this before 2025, I guess. But I'll leave you with that for today. This is going to be the format. Quick 5-minute long clips or videos, podcasts, however you're listening, of me rambling about a few things I've learned recently. I'm going to try to keep it really actionable and hopefully keep these to about 5 to 10 minutes. Like I said earlier, I did confirm our first guest, so keep an eye out. As podcasters say, hit that subscribe button or whatever you do on these. Yeah, looking forward to more content like this, just getting my voice out there. And like I mentioned, today is January 1st, 2026. So whenever you're listening to this, I hope you're having a great year. You're sticking to those goals, those resolutions that you set for yourself. And just a reminder, go do something difficult. That's what this podcast is about. It's about doing difficult things, taking on challenges to make yourself a better person. So when challenges do come at you down the road, you're ready to take those on. You know how to do difficult things. Even if that difficult thing is just not drinking a beer while you're watching the Vikings lose, right? Well, thank you for being on this journey with me. Look forward to seeing you in the next episode.